Let's kick things off with this question from Edgar Allan Poe. Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? It's one of those questions that really gets under your skin, right? It cuts right to the heart of how we see the world. Is reality this solid, fixed thing? Or is it something way more personal, more fluid? Well, today, we're diving into a work that takes that very question and builds an entire universe around it. It's a 1952 sci-fi short story by Bryce Walton called The Highest Mountain. And we're not just going to look at it as a cool old story. Oh no, we're going to break it down as a seriously powerful and, frankly, shockingly relevant philosophical argument about the nature of reality itself. So here's our game plan for unpacking this gem. We'll start with how a pulp story can hide some deep philosophy. Then we'll get into the aggressive conqueror's mindset the story is taking on. After that, we'll get to the heart of it, the idea of reality's filter. We'll see how that plays out in the terrifying mountain of madness, and then uncover the truth beyond the mountain. And finally, we'll bring it all home with a modern sanity test inspired by the whole thing. All right, part one, a pulp philosophy. Now you might be thinking, how can a simple space adventure story from the 50s be some kind of complex philosophical treatise? Well, that's the magic of science fiction, isn't it? It has always been this amazing laboratory for big ideas, using these wild, imagined futures to really dissect the here and now. And Walton's story? It was absolutely groundbreaking for embedding such a deep critique inside what looked, on the surface, like just another adventure. So, at the very heart of this story is a huge concept, metaphysics. Basically, this is the part of philosophy that asks the biggest questions of all, like what is actually real, and what's the connection between the stuff in our heads, our minds, and the physical world we walk around in. This is the central puzzle that The Highest Mountain just throws right at us. Now, to really appreciate just how radical this story's argument was, we first have to understand the world it was born into. And that brings us to Section 2, the conqueror's mindset.
This timeline just sets the stage perfectly. The story drops in 1952, right in the long shadow of World War II and at the very dawn of the Cold War. The whole world is buzzing with these ideologies of power, expansion, and domination. The space race is literally just around the corner, and Walton is writing as a direct response to this cultural tidal wave of aggressive, almost cosmic-level manifest destiny.
And the perfect embodiment of this whole worldview is the story's antagonist, Captain Terrence. He's the leader of the so-called Conqueror Corps, and listen to that line, "Nothing's bigger than the destiny of Earth." That's not a statement of exploration or wonder, that is a statement of domination. It's this absolute belief that your destiny is something you must force upon the stars.
So, what does this philosophy actually look like? Well, for them, the universe isn't a place of awe, it's an arena, a series of challenges to be beaten. Anything that's different, like the Venusians they mention having wiped out, isn't something to be understood. It's something to be eliminated. Dissent? That's a weakness. Absolute obedience is the ultimate strength. At the end of the day, for these guys, reality itself is just a pile of rocks waiting for the strongest to come along and smash them. This is the exact mindset the story puts on trial.
Okay, so we've established this really brutal worldview. The really brilliant part is how the story just masterfully takes it apart. And that brings us to Section 3, reality's filter, which gets to the story's absolute central argument. And here it is. This is the core of the whole thing. The story's groundbreaking claim is that reality isn't some fixed, objective stage we all play on. No, it's a mirror. It reflects back whatever's going on inside the observer's mind. And the chilling conclusion of that idea? A sick mind, a mind obsessed with conflict and domination, will literally perceive a sick, hostile universe. It's a stunning piece of philosophy about subjective experience smuggled inside a sci-fi pulp story. And this chart just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you have the conqueror's reality. To them, Mars is this barren, freezing wasteland, totally dominated by a hostile, impossible mountain. It's a challenge. But for the so-called deviants, which is what the conquerors call anyone who rejects their violent way of thinking, Mars is a paradise. It's lush, warm, a peaceful world of valleys and canals. It's a home. It's the exact same planet, but two completely different realities, each one a perfect reflection of the mind looking at it.
So how does this actually play out in the narrative? Let's turn the page to the story's powerful central metaphor. Section 4, the Mountain of Madness. It is a terrifying case study in self-destruction.
You see, the crew's psychological breakdown isn't random at all. It's this chillingly logical spiral downwards. It all starts with step 1, unquestioning obedience to a completely pointless, ego-driven mission to climb this mountain. That toxic goal breeds sickness and paranoia. Then, when one guy finally has enough and rebels, he's just executed. The final step? Total psychosis. They're completely lost inside an illusion that they themselves created.
And right here, in Captain Terrence's final, raving transmission, you hear the absolute peak of that psychosis. He thinks they're about to reach the top of everything, the top of the universe. It is the Conqueror's ego turned up to 11, a desire not just to climb some alien mountain, but to dominate all of existence.
But the story's philosophical takedown is just devastatingly simple. Their destiny was never to conquer anything. It was to be trapped, and in the end, completely consumed by a mountain that was nothing more than a psychic mirror reflecting their own inner sickness back at them. And this all leads us to the big reveal, the absolutely brilliant resolution of the story. Section 5, Beyond the Mountain, where we finally learn about the mechanism behind all this madness, the Martian sanity filter. Okay, so here's where it all clicks into place. Turns out, the native Martians are powerful telepaths. They are masters of consciousness itself, and they don't fight with guns or ships. They fight with reality. They created the illusion of the barren world and the impossible mountain as a planetary defense system. Think of it like a psychic filter designed to weed out aggression. Only people who can reject that destructive, conquering mindset are able to perceive the real Mars, the peaceful Mars. In this story, Mars is literally where the philosophy of brute force comes to an end. So why does a story from the 1950s still hit so hard today? Because this critique is absolutely timeless. This whole allegory applies perfectly to any system that puts conquest above coexistence. You can see it in cutthroat corporate cultures, in polarized political tribes, really any group that sees the other not as a being to understand, but as an obstacle to be crushed. Which, of course, brings us to our final section. Let's take this powerful idea and apply it directly to our world right now. It's time for a modern sanity test. So here's the thought experiment for you. Just imagine. What if a modern AI-powered social media platform was built with the same kind of psychic sanity filter that the Martians used? Think about it. Your social feed wouldn't just be showing you things it thinks you'll like, it would be actively building a reality based on your inner psychological state. If you approach it with curiosity and empathy, the platform becomes a garden, a place you go to see new ideas, diverse perspectives, a place for connection. But if you approach it with an aggressive, tribal mindset, the platform becomes a battlefield. Your feed becomes an endless, exhausting scroll of outrage, conflict, and conspiracies. It becomes a digital mountain you are forever climbing but can never conquer, trapping you in a self-made war. The final chilling question this story leaves us with is this: which one of those realities are we building for ourselves right now?
This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.